kamu, Jina Laguni Asna Ashikin, Nina Furaha Kokutana Nawewe. Hi everyone. For information, I will cover the introduction to the Africa south of the Sahara. Next, I will cover the three subtopics that falls under 4.0, History and Culture of African, which is 4.1, the introduction, 4.2, the ethnic diversity and shared features, and also 4.3, which is groups and empires of African. Next, I will cover the first sub-region of the Africa south of the Sahara, which is Central Africa.
Going back, Ekis Norhani Izati binti Muhammad Hassan, ang enema Kenis. What is that? This is the language of African, Afrikaans, German plus Africa. African is a West Germanic language spoken in South Africa. Nambia, Africa clothing is the traditional clothing worn by people of Africa. In all instances except rural areas, these traditional garments have been replaced by Western clothing, introduced by European colonists. African clothing and fashion is a diverse topic that is able to provide a look into different African culture. Clothing varying from brightly colored textile to abstractly embroidered robes and necklaces. Since Africa is such a large and diverse continent, traditional clothing differs throughout each country. For example, many countries in West Africa have a distinct regional dress style that are the product of long-standing textile craft in weaving, dyeing, and printing. But these traditions are still able to coexist with Western style. The simple head wreath worn by millions of enslaved women and their descendants has served as a uniform of communal identity. But at its most elaborate, the African-American woman head wreath has functioned as a uniform of rebellion, signifying absolute resistance to loss of self-definitions. This is turban. Most of the Muslim women will wear it in Africa. Like I said before, the traditional clothes for Africa is bright color and the animal stripe, like this. That's all for today. I will pass to my friends. Bye.
Okay, I will present about climates. There are three climates. The second one is environment problem, drought and desertification, soil quality and losses, treated wildlife, killer tropical disease. 5.0, I will present about Western Africa, for map, in this country, economic activities, and many more. So let's enjoy! Thank you for choosing Region 7 Tour and Travel Agency.
Habari, mimi ni Amina. Nina furaha kukutana na wewe. Just now, I introduced myself by using Swahili language. Swahili language is one of the widest spoken languages in Africa. Maybe you know a little bit of Swahili language. If you have seen the Disney movie Lion King, then you know the name Simba. Simba means lions in Swahili. Then you know the name Nala. Nala means gift in Swahili. Then you know the name Rafiki. Rafiki means friends in Swahili. And also Pumba. Pumba means stupid in Swahili. And of course, Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata means no worries in Swahili. I will be covering the subtopic 4.4 Muslim in the North and East, 4.5 Colonial Regimes, 4.5.1 Introduction to Colonial Regimes, 4.5.2 Slave Trade, 4.5.3 Explorer and Colonists, and for sub-regions, I will cover on the Eastern Africa.
Sawubona, ikamala migingo maisara, kia jabula, ukwazi, kia bonga. So, hello everyone, I'm just introduce myself in Zulu language. Do you guys know that Zulu is one of 11 official language of South Africa and is spoken by around 10 million people as first language. Okay, so today me and my friend from Region 7 will present about Africa south of the Sahara. I will cover three parts under colonial regime, which are colonies who settled South Africa, other colonies who settled, and colonial government. and for the sub-region, I will cover Southern Africa. So I do hope you guys enjoy our presentation. So I'll meet you guys soon. Samina mina waka waka Samina mina sangalewa. This time for Africa. So yes.
Sawubona everyone, my name is Sahara. On behalf of Region 7 Tour Agency, I'd like to welcome you all to Africa south of the Sahara. The bus ride to your hotel will take about 15 minutes. Right now, I'd like to take a minute to familiarize you with the area and discuss some brief safety precautions. Firstly, I ask that you remain seated until we reach our destination and that you may write down a note instead sleep while on the bus. Secondly, please realize that it is against the IBM 537's law for not listening for the whole of the session. Enjoy your vacation, make sure all the notes being close to you, and for better sound, please wear the headphone or earphone. Giabonga! This is the list members that will guide you for the whole of the journey, which are Norhani Izzati binti Muhammad Hassan, Asna Ashikin binti Muhammad Daud, Nurul Aminah binti Nur Azam, and myself, Siti Nurmaisara binti Muhammad Kafiz. I promise you are going to enjoy your stay in Africa south of the Sahara, which we will take you guys to know more deeper about Africa. As you guys can see, this is the world map. The red circle is Africa. This is a close look to map of Africa south of the Sahara. The countries, capital cities, major geologic features, and major relief features.
Hello everyone. Thank you for choosing Region 7 Tour Agency for your journey to the Africa south of the Sahara. I'm Asna Ashikin, your tour guide, and let me bring you to the introduction of Africa south of the Sahara. Africa south of the Sahara is the world's second largest continent and was the cradle of the human species. Skeletons of the oldest known Homo sapiens are found only in Africa, and African people contain much greater genetic variety than the rest of the world's population. The history of African peoples before the coming of Arabs and Europeans was rich and sophisticated. It also has a great diversity and beauty of natural landscapes from plateaus to rift valleys and mountains. Its climates range from tropical arid to equatorial raining. Its ecosystem include tropical rainforest, savanna grassland, and desert, which is a stock of biodiversity. The rocks underlying these landscapes are mostly ancient and contain some of the world's largest deposits of bauxite, which is aluminium, cobalt, copper, gold, and diamonds, as well as newly valuable platinum and coltan, which is tantalum that used in the mobile phone. The increasing amount of oil are being found around the coast.
Okay, now we move on to 2.0, which is climate. What is climate? Climate in the long-term average of weather, typically average over a period of 30 years. Some of meteorological variables that are commonly measured are temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, wind, and precipitations. In a broader sense, climate is the state of component of the climate system, which include the ocean and ice on Earth. The climate of a location is affected by its latitude, terrain, and altitude, as well as nearby water body and their current. The climate of Africa is a range of climate, such as the equatorial climate, the tropical wet and dry climate, the tropical monsoon climate, the semi-desert climate, semi-arid, the desert climate, hyper-arid, and the subtropical highland climate. Temperature climate are rare across the continent except of high elevations and along the fringes. In fact, the climate of Africa is most variable by rainfall amount than by temperature, which are constantly high. Africa deserts are the sunniest and the driest part of the continent, owing the prevailing presence of the subtropical range with subsiding hot, dry air masses. Africa holds many heat-related records. The continent has the hottest extended region years around, the area with the hottest summer climate, the highest sunshine duration, and more. Okay, we move on to the next slide. Okay, for 2.1 desert climate. The desert climate is an excess of evaporation over precipitations. The typically bald, rocky or sandy surface in the desert climate hold little moisture and evaporate the little rainfall they receive. There are two variations of desert climate, which is the first one is the hot desert climate. It is in 18 Celsius, and a cold desert climate which is -3 degrees Celsius. A mean annual temperature of 18 degrees Celsius is in the coldest month. At the time of high summer, average temperature are normally between 29 and 35 degrees Celsius, and a midday reading only on 43 to 46 degrees Celsius are common. The world absolute heat record over 50 degrees Celsius. This is include the record of 56.7 degrees Celsius in a Death Valley, which is currently considered the highest temperature recorded on Earth. For example, in Chad. Okay, as you can see in the picture, this is the example of the Sahara Desert. Sahara Desert is the hottest place in the world. Okay, for 2.2, tropical rainforest climate. Tropical rainforest climate have a type of tropical climate in which there is no dry season. All months have an average precipitation value of at least 60 mm. In rainforest climate, the dry season is very short and rainfall is normally heavy throughout the year. One day in a tropical rainforest climate can be very similar to the next, while the change in temperature between day and night may be larger than the average change in temperature during the year. When tropical rainforest climates are more dominated by the intertropical convection zone (ITCZ) than the trade wind, and with no or rare cyclones, so usually located near the equator. They are also called equatorial climate. Otherwise, when they are more dominated by the trade wind than the ITCZ, they are called tropical trade wind climate. In pure equatorial climate, the atmospheric pressure is low, almost constant, so the pressure gradient is low. Consequently, the winds are rare and usually weak, except sea and land breeze in coastal area, while in tropical trade wind climate, often located the highest latitude than the equatorial climate. Wind is almost permanent, which incidentally explains why rainforest formations are improbable compared to those of equatorial climate due to their necessary resistance to strong wind accompanying tropical disturbances. The tropical rainforests are warm and humid. The temperature range from 21 to 30 degrees Celsius. The average annual temperature of rainforest is above 20 degrees Celsius. There are areas often receive a lot of sun due to their location around the Earth's equator. On average, rainforests receive about 12 hours of sun a day, but most of that is concentrated on the canopy cover of the highest tree. A tropical rainforest climate is a tropical climate usually found within 10 to 15 degrees latitude of the equator and has at least 60 mm of rainfall every month of the year. A tropical rainforest climate is typically hot, very humid, and wet. For example, the Congo River Basin rainforest. In the picture, I have shown you the surrounding of Congo River Basin. The Congo River Basin is sedimentary basin of the Congo River. The Congo Basin is located in Central Africa in a region known as West Equatorial Africa. The Congo Basin region is sometimes known simply as the Congo. Okay, for 2.3, which is humid subtropical marine climate. A humid subtropical marine climate is a zone of climate characterized by hot and humid summer and cold to mild winter. So the climate is in the middle. Summer are typically long, hot and humid. Monthly mean summer temperature are normally between 24 to 27 degrees Celsius. The temperature are high. The warmest month generally average about 27 degrees Celsius, which mean daily maximum for 30 degrees Celsius. The Middle and Eastern Africa region, these are include Central Angola, Northern Zimbabwe, the Nyasa Manica and Tete provinces of Mozambique, the Southern Congo provinces, Southeast Tanzania, and the majority of Malawi and Zambia. Monthly mean temperature in winter are often mild, typically average 7.5 to 16 degrees Celsius. A humid subtropical climate is a zone of climate characterized by hot and humid summer and cold to mild winter. This climate normally lie on southeast side of all continents, generally between latitude 25 and 35, and are located poleward from adjacent tropical climate. While many subtropical climates tend to be located at or near coastal location, in some cases they extend inland, most notably in Malawi. As you can see, the picture is the place of Malawi. Okay, next is environmental problem. Divided by 4. The first one is drought and desertification. The second one is soil quality losses. The third one is treated wildlife. The last one is killer tropical disease. Okay. For environmental problem, major current environment issues include climate change, pollution, environmental degradations, and resource depletions. The conservation move lobbies for protection of endangered species and protections of any ecological valuable natural areas, genetically modified food, and global warming. How can we fix environmental problem? Maybe replace disposal item with reusable item. The use of paper should be avoided. Maybe we can conserve water and electricity, support environmental friendly practice, recycle the waste to conserve natural resources, and many more. Next is drought and desertifications. Water resource rainfall plentiful in the Congo River Basin to scarce in many areas where there is a seasonal rainfall. Frequent droughts or continuous aridity. Shortage of water lower crop productivity and hydroelectric product efficiency. The Sahel zone suffered increasing droughts from 1970s, leading to overgrazing and removal of woody plant for firewood. A case of desertification, it caused many livestock deaths in Western Africa and Chad and local famine condition. As you can see in the picture, this is the condition drought and desertification in Africa. Drought and desertification are at the core of serious challenge and threats facing sustainable development in Africa. These problems have far-reaching adverse impact on human health, food security, economic activity, physical infrastructure, natural resources, and the environment, and also national and global security. Although drought has several definitions, the central element in this definition is water deficit. In general, drought is defined as an extended period which is a season, a year, or several years of deficient rainfall relative to the statistical multi-year average for a region. The deficiency results in water shortage for some activity, group, or environmental sector. A more in-depth definition of drought includes 4 sub-definitions, including meteorological, hydrological, agriculture, and socio-economic drought. Desertification, on the other hand, is defined as a process of land degradation in arid, semi-arid, and dry subhumid areas, resulting from various factors including climate variations and human activities. Land degradation manifests itself through soil erosions, water scarcity, reduced agriculture productivity, loss of vegetation cover and biodiversity, drought and poverty. For 3.1 drought and desertification, the cause of desertification come by a complex interaction between the natural environment and human activity. The cause may vary from region to region on account of economic condition, population pressure, agriculture practices and politics, human activity that destroys surface vegetation, degraded soil structure and fertility, impact water infiltrations and causes soil drying, promote desertifications. This is especially true for the fragile transition zone between arid and semi-arid land where human activities have stretched the ecosystem to its limit, causing expansions of the desert. Population growth and its demand on agricultural resource has promoted the desertification process. For example, caused declining soil fertility, leading to falling crop yields. Overuse lead to crusting of exposed topsoil by rain and sun that increase runoff, water erosion and gluing. Soil drying promote wind erosion and encroachment of sand dune on arable land. Okay, 3.2 is soil quality losses. What is soil quality losses? The most widespread problem in Africa, less nutrient and harder to work with simple tools. Soil exposure in seasonal rainfall lead into hard laterite that resist plowing. For example, removing of the forest cover in Ethiopian highland lead to rapid erosion of soil, forcing people to move anywhere else. Impose further pressure on land resources in already crowded area. The effect is forcing people move to anywhere else. Pressure on land resource in already crowded. A main cause of soil degradation is lack of manufactured fertilizers being used. Since Africa's soil lack organic source of nutrients, there are also ecological causes of the poor soil quality. Much of the soil has rock or clay from volcanic activity. Other causes include erosion, desertification, and deforestation. Climate conditions are quite different from tropical Africa. The main soils are, however, similar to those of subhumid wooded savanna, the semi-arid savanna, and the arid savanna zone. They are rhyzina, phormism, combisol, castonisms, aeronosol, and solocax. For treated wildlife, major threats to wildlife include habitat destruction or degradation or fragmentation, overexploitation, poaching, pollution, and climate change. The IUCN estimates that 27,000 species of the one axis are at risk of extinctions. Human activity is by far the biggest cause of habitat loss. The loss of wetland, plant, lake, and other natural environment are all destroy or degrade habitat, as do other human activities such as introducing invasive species, polluting, trading in wildlife, and engaging in war. For example, as you can see, they killed the elephant in Kenya, the conservative policy in Southern Africa. The tropical Africa flora and fauna are threatened by expanding logging, farming and poaching. Habitat loss and degradations, hunting for sport by farm worker and accidental trapping are the main threats due to agriculture, commercial farming and human development. Road killing, shooting, execution by human and climate warming, poaching for illegal international trade, habitat loss and hunting by European settlers, civil unrest and war, increase in weapon and improved communication. As you can see at the picture, this is all the horn from the rhino and elephant ivory in Kenya. They hunt rhino and elephant for fun, for hunting, for sport, and others. As you can see in the slide, the most endangered animal in Africa. All these animals is at the level of extinctions. For example, the riverine rabbit, South Africa most endangered animal because this rabbit is hunt for sport. Northern white rhino. This is also they hunt for their horns. Africa penguin. This is the only Africa penguin species. The next one is chimpanzee, our close living relative, sharing over 98 of our DNA. Rothschild giraffe, the world's tallest land animal and one of the treated giraffe species. African mountain gorilla, the largest and one of the rarest primitive alive. African wild dog, one of the most endangered carnivore in the world. Gravy zebra, the largest and most endangered zebra species. The black rhino, the highest profile endangered animal in Southern Africa. This black rhino, they hunt for their horn and their skin. The Ethiopian wolf, Africa's most endangered carnivore. Peacock-gill reef frog, endemic to critically endangered coastal wetland habitat. 3.4 Killer tropical disease. Killer tropical disease is the most main environmental problem in Africa for the people and food production. Example is malaria, river blindness and other human disease that has been remain increasing. Some areas of savanna grassland have very low population because of the widespread of sleeping sickness affecting human. If you can see that the picture that I've added is the first one is HIV or AIDS pill. They give HIV AIDS pill for free. The second one is trypanosomiasis. This affected the Democratic Republic of Congo, killed almost 2,000 people in a year. HIV and AIDS is the bigger killer in Africa by a large margin, with 122 deaths per 100,000 people in 2012. This is nearly double the death from the whole disease, which caused the second largest number of deaths. Tropical disease. Trypanosomia divided by two, which is Burkitt's and Burkitt's TBG and TBR. TBG found in West and Central Africa, while TBR is found in Eastern and Southern Africa. 90% of reported cases of sleeping sickness, and a person can be affected for months or even years without major sign or symptom of the disease. TBR is first sign and symptom are observed after a few months or a few weeks. The sign and symptom for TBR and TBG is the first stage. You will get a fever, headache, joint pain and itchy. The second stage is confusion, sensory disturbances, poor coordination and death. The picture that I added is the life cycle of trypanosomiasis that caused by a fly.
Let's continue our journey to the history and culture of African. I'm Asna Shikin and I will share with everyone about the introduction, the ethnic diversity and shared cultures, and also the African groups and empires. Later, Amina will share about the Muslim in the north and east, and for colonial regimes, she will share about the introduction of colonial regimes, slave trade, and also explorers and colonies. Maisara will share about the colonies who settled South Africa, other colonies who settled, and also colonial government. For the introduction, African was the stage for the generation of the first human cultures. African mixed with Arabs, Asians, and Europeans, all whom now call Africa south of the Sahara's home. The geographic varieties today resulted from the interaction among traditional indigenous culture, varied natural environment, the expansion of Arab Muslim cultures, the European colonial cultures, and also the westernizing cultures invention of the late 1900s. Now, let's move on to the ethnic diversity and shared cultures. The members of ethnic groups forming the basic social and political units of the indigenous people share kinship and territorial links and frequently a language and cultural institution. European colonies call these group tribes, which apply to groups of people in formerly colonial territories and is often rejected as an insult by those to whom it is applied. Tribal identities often override physical and cultural differences. Separate identities may occur within groups having similar physical characteristics, and, in some places, individuals may move from one group to another. More than 1,000 languages are spoken in Africa south of the Sahara, which is Nilo-Saharan language in the north, Khoisan languages in the far south, and Swahili in the eastern Africa. Now, let's talk about the shared feature of African groups. First, traditional African beliefs have strong relationship between humans, nature, and spiritual forces. Gods and spirits influencing human success or failure inhabit rivers, rock outcrops, and tree groves. Such beliefs are collectively known as animism. Second, all humans are seen as part of a continuing chain of life, with reverence for ancestral spirit and the family unit. Large families are a blessing and childlessness a tragedy. The wider family supports each member through difficult times and educates the young in tradition. Third, artistic expression in sculpture, music, dance, and storytelling are central to African cultures. Next, wisdom and strong leadership are respected. Traditionally, the chief is a feared, trusted spiritual leader acting for the common welfare. Most Africans still make their living from the land through cultivating, herding, or hunting. Land is traditionally in communal, not individual, ownership, seen as an inheritance from the past and responsibility to the future. Creole languages, combining several languages, include Swahili, which is combining African, Indian, and Arabic elements, are used in Eastern Africa and in the television also newspaper media. English, French, and Portuguese are used in the former colonies. Lastly, the great diversity of religious allegiance includes many versions of traditional animistic religions, together with strong influence from Islam, especially in the north and east parts of Africa south of the Sahara, and Christianity, Catholic, and Protestant. Now, let's move on to the African groups and empires. For 1,000 years, Africa was home to a great variety of people, mixing and migrating with their cultures. Eastern Africa was a major crossroad of African peoples. Cattle herders from the near river valleys, such as the Maasai, live in tension with farming Bantu peoples, such as Kikuyu of Kenya, who migrated from Western and Central Africa. The San and Khoikhoi hunters and collectors with low population densities were gradually displaced by the agricultural and cattle herding Bantu tribes from the north, who reached the present South Africa in the 1700s. Indigenous African groups, particularly in Western Africa, established empires based on the wealth created by trade in salt, gold, ivory, and slaves. The Western African empires of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai had widespread influence. In 1324, Mansa Musa, the Malian Muslim emperor, visited Cairo, Egypt on his pilgrimage from Western Africa to Mecca. He had 500 porters, each bearing a golden staff. For example, Timbuktu in modern Mali lies near the northernmost bend of the Niger River on the southern margin of the Sahara. It grew as a market for local crops and cattle. By the Anno Domini 700s, salt trade linked mines in the Sahara with markets down the Niger River. Local goldfield made its merchants very wealthy. Before Europe, universities with libraries containing large numbers of imported books were established in Timbuktu and Jen. Scholars from Greece, Egypt, and Arabia were employed as a teacher. In the south, Great Zimbabwe was the center of a widespread trading empire. By the early 1800s, the Bantu people, which is the Swazis, Zulu, Tosas, and Satos, in southernmost Africa fought with each other for territory and built strongly defended kingdoms.
Hello everyone, my name is Nura Amina. On behalf of Region 7 Travel Agency, I'd like to welcome all of you to Africa south of the Sahara. Previously, you have learned from our tour guide Asna, the African ethnic diversity and shared cultures, and also African groups and empires. Now, let me explain the history of Muslims in the north and east. The Arab Muslim expansion from the AD 600 affected the northern and eastern part of the region. The Muslims brought Islamic religion by practice polygamy and the use of the African drum. The introductions of camels enabled Arab and African traders to exchange goods across the Sahara. It reached a major level of activity from 900 until the 1800s. In the west, the roads went south from Fez and Marrakech, modern Morocco, to the middle Niger River Valley. In the center, roads connected Tripoli, modern Libya, and Lake Chad area. In the east, Nile River connected Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia. Later, Islamic expansion set off holy wars, as Fulani warriors and zealots tried to grab grazing lands and take over the Ethiopian monarchy. However, they all failed. In 1523, they established coastal settlements that are now the countries of Eritrea, Djibouti, and Somalia. Eastern Africa's first orientation to the outside world was toward the Arab country bordering the Red Sea and Indian Oceans. This is where the area of the Red Sea, and between these is the Indian Ocean. Arab established trading centers along the eastern coast of Africa, often on islands such as Zanzibar and Pemba. From AD 700 until 1800, ivory and gold were traded, and around 5 million slaves were exported to Arabia, Persia, and China. And African and Arabian Islamic culture developed with Indian and Persian influences. The most common language that they used to communications was through Swahili Creole language. Swahili Creole language is the mix of Arabic and Bantu language. In the maps, you can see how the Islamic is spread to from the Arab to the Africa through using the land and sea road.
Now, let's move to colonial regimes in Africa. There are 6 subtopics in these colonial regimes. First, introductions, slave trade, explorers and colonies who settled South Africa, other colonies who settled, and colonial government. Now, let me explain the introduction to colonial regimes. In the mid-1400s, Europeans' influence in Africa grew, as improved ship technology made it possible to reach India and about the Muslim countries of southwestern Asia. The Europeans were fought at coastal trading posts in Western Africa, where the ship could be loaded with the local slave, gold, ivory, and palm products in exchange for the alcohol, guns, and sugar. Sectors of the Western African coast were called the Ivory Coast, Gold Coast, and Slave Coast for their chief products. Portuguese ships took gold from Eastern Africa to pay for the steel and spice of Asia. Next is slave trade. In 1483, the first European colonists were the Portuguese, who established relations with the local Congo in northern Angola. In 1498, they reached the Mozambique coast, and then they removed many Arab traders. As we can see from the right side, is how African slaves were treated by the colonies. In the 16th century, when European empires created a network of international trade across Atlantic oceans between America, Europe, and Africa, the new American colonies produced sugar, tobacco, and cotton for Europe labor. The new sugar and tobacco plantations in the Americas and Caribbean caused the demand for enslaved people. European ships transported African slaves to the Americas by entering triangular Atlantic trade. African slaves were mostly prisoners, or they were captured by rival African groups to be sold into African slave network. The slaves were brought to the coast along the inland supply routes pioneered by African empires and Arab traders. The Portuguese slave trade devastated both Angola and Mozambique. Nearly 4 million slaves were taken to Brazil from Angola. Western and Central Africa contributed millions of slaves to America. The slave trade enriched European ship owners and merchants, financing the growth of ports in Europe, which then dominated world trade. A threatening such wealth caused the undevelopment of Western Africa. The payment receipts for the African slave network enabled them to buy guns and luxury from the Europe, then dominate their African neighbors and resist European colonizing incursions. Europeans justified enslaved people by different skin color and culture through assumption of racial superiority. Somewhere between 6 million and 30 million African slaves, about 10 million as widely accepted figure, were transported across Atlantic Ocean to the US, Caribbean, and Latin America. As we can see from the picture, it's the triangular thread. It's like a triangle shape. Textile, wine, and manufactured goods were shipped from Europe to Africa, and the slaves from the Africa were shipped to the America. And sugar, tobacco, and cotton were shipped from America to Europe. It was this transatlantic triangular trade of the 16th century that was responsible for moving ideas, products, and people around the world. This triangular trade is how European empire filled their colonies with African slaves, starting a legacy of slavery that defines the America. The slave trade declined after Britain abolished slave shipment in 1808. However, there are some countries did not abolish slavery until 1880. Humanitarian efforts in Europe and the United States during the 1800s resulted in the return of African families free from slavery to people the new country of Liberia, the port of Freetown in modern Sierra Leone, and Libreville in modern Gabon. However, the returnees found it difficult to integrate with the Africans who had not been enslaved, which created the long-term social tensions. As we can see, the picture shows the memorial to slaves in Tanzania and Zanzibar, which is an East African port that was important in the Indian Ocean slave trade. The third subtopic is explorer and colonists. As the slave trade declined from the early 1800s, all of Africa south of the Sahara, except Ethiopia and Libya, became colonies of European countries. Explorers such as Henry Stanley from United States and David Livingstone from United Kingdom penetrated the inland regions along major rivers, meeting many of the African empire rulers and passing on knowledge from their travels. While they did so, the Industrial Revolutions developed in Western Europe, resulting in demands for raw materials such as tropical tree crops and minerals. During the later 1800s and early 1900s, French and British companies established plantations to produce cocoa and palm oil in the coastal forests, while mining companies explored the interiors. Roads and railroads connect interior mines and plantations with ports to facilitate export. In the late 1800s, the opening of the Suez Canal caused the United Kingdom to expand the port of Aden on the Arabian Peninsula to refuel its ships on the way to and from India. It established British Somaliland on the African coast. Italy colonized Eritrea and the Indian Ocean coast of present Somalia in the late 1800s. In the 1884 until 1885, the European countries competing for world power met at the Berlin Congress and divided the African continent into French, British, German, Portuguese, Belgian, Italian, and Spanish. There was no consultation with Africans. As we can see from the map, is the African colonies after the Berlin Conference of 1884. Occupying and controlling the new colonies, however, was often difficult and met strong resistance. Colonies became inland extensions of coastal bays, and boundaries between the colonial territories divided tribes and African territories. For example, the Kanem Borno Sultanate, founded around AD 1100, was divided among Nigeria, Cameroon, and Niger, Chad. Germany lost its colonies, modern Togo, Tanzania, and Cameroon, to the British and French after World War One. That's all from me. If you have any questions, please ask. It's my job to answer them. All my time is free to talk to you, said Sia.
Hello everyone! It's great to meet all of you guys again. Like Alice in Wonderland, you'll find there is more about colonial regime. I will continue to guide you all about colonies who settled South Africa. The evolution of the Republic of South Africa is particularly significant. From the mid-1600s, Dutch settlers built the port of Cape Town to support ships trading to and from the Dutch East Indies, now is known as Indonesia. The farmers came to supply the port and town with crops and meat. The settlers forced the indigenous Khoi, a people they call Hottentots, northward and enslaved them in places. In 1814, Britain bought the Cape Colony from Netherlands. It introduced new colonies. Many Dutch settlers moved to the more isolated interior to preserve their culture. They undertook their great trek to the Orange and Vaal River valleys, where they established the Orange Free State and Transvaal. The Boers, which is the Dutch for farmers, retained their Dutch-based language, which is Afrikaans, and were later called Afrikaners. Their new settlement displaced the Indabella people who moved north of the Limpopo River, and the Zulus who moved southward into Natal, creating tensions with the local tribes. In 1816, the Boers declared a South Afrikaner Republic in their new lands, but the discovery of diamonds and gold caused British entrepreneurs such as Cecil Rhodes to intrude. As you guys can see, the left picture shows the port of the Cape Town, which is established by Dutch settlers 400 years ago, remains busy. The fish dock is a growing specialization. The city, with its high-rise offices and hotels, is backed by Table Mountain. The continuum of colonies who settled South Africa. In 1884, the occupation of Southwest Africa, which is modern Namibia, by the Germans led Britain to annex Bechuanaland, which is the modern of Botswana, to block German Boer links. The British also extended protectorates to Basutoland, which is the modern Lesotho, and Swaziland after Boer attacks. In 1899, the Boers declared war on the British, who had instigated local conflicts. Although the British soon took the major centers, a costly and inconclusive guerrilla war followed. In 1990, the four colonies, which are Cape, Natal, Orange Free State, and Transvaal, has formed the Union of South Africa as a self-governing dominion within the British Empire. However, the rights of black Africans were never part of the arrangement, and black struggles for self-determination took longer than in other African countries. The right picture shows the Boer War troop. The next one is other colonies who settled. In the late of 1800s, United Kingdom developed the swath of land between Angola and Mozambique, which aimed at developing mineral wealth. The British colonization sometimes coincided with cries for help from indigenous people who perceived the threat of Portuguese colonial repression to be greater than that of British administration and loss of land to farming settlers. For example, tribes in Nyasaland, modern Malawi, in 1891 and northern Rhodesia, now Zambia, in 1889 requested British protection, whereas the Indabella in western southern of Rhodesia, the modern Zimbabwe, signed contracts in 1888 with Cecil Rhodes to allow his British mining company to exploit the mineral on their land. In early 1900s, the Portuguese discouraged settlement by Europeans in its colonies, where there was a push toward greater economic exploitation of mineral resources and plantation crops led by Portuguese technology, finances, and administrators. Little attempt was made to provide schooling for the African population, and any dissension was brutally repressed. As European settlement increased, African opposition gained strength, with rival groups fighting each other in both Mozambique and Angola. In 1975, revolution of Portugal led to the end of dictatorship that had held onto the colonies. The new government gave independence to Angola and Mozambique. Most people of Portuguese origin left in the late 1970s when their scorched earth policy destroyed much cropland and machinery. The late of 1800s, European colonies arrived in Eastern Africa. They met less organized resistance to settlement than in Western or Southern Africa. Britain got involved initially to end the slave trade based on Zanzibar Island under the Sultans of Oman and Muscat, who also controlled the Indian Ocean trade in cloves and palm oil. In 1886, Britain annexed Kenya and Uganda, and those both countries, Kenya and Uganda, had built a railroad from Mombasa to Lake Victoria in Uganda in 1902, which brought in laborers from India and redirected trade toward European countries. On your left side, it shows the picture of Zanzibar. Zanzibar was a center of Arab trade along the coast of Eastern Africa and across the Indian Ocean before Europeans arrived. The view from the top of the Arab fort takes in part of the old city. Now that Zanzibar is part of Tanzania, many in the city campaign for its independence to be renewed. The last part in colonial regime is colonial government. Some colonial powers, such as France and Britain, provided basic education and healthcare. Both these countries, which are France and Britain, give limited experience to Africans in local government, especially where traditional political institutions were in place and the chiefs or kings amenable. The new colleges, hospitals, and other social infrastructure built by the colonizers in the centers they established educated professionals in European ways. The French policy of assimilating Africans into the French way of life linked their colonies more closely to French institutions. Although colonial powers claimed to legitimize their rule by bringing peace to ethnic rivalries, they often took sides that deepened the rivalries. The groups were labeled as dependable or lazy, encouraging regional differences of investment, forcible recruitment of some groups as laborers, and widespread resentment. However, before 1918, Portugal, Belgium, and Germany provided little infrastructure outside the mining and plantation areas and limited the extent of education prospects. African colonies played small parts in the world economy by exporting raw materials to manufacturers in the colonizing countries. Africans worked on farms and in mines, often in brutal conditions where local labor was insufficient. Migrants were used, often in new forms of semi-slavery. The mercantile colonial system ruled out manufacturing, apart from local needs, in case it should compete with the products of the colonizing countries. Preference for European products and ways of living brought cultural as well as economic dependence.
Did all of you get all the information regarding the introductions of Africa south of the Sahara, the climates, the four environmental problems, and the history and culture of African? Now, our tour guide Region 7 Tour Agency will assist you to the four sub-regions in Africa south of the Sahara. First, Central Africa, second, Western Africa, third, Eastern Africa, and the last, Southern Africa.
Since everyone is exposed to the climate of the region, the environmental problem, also the history and culture of African, now let me, Asna Ashikin, your tour guide, to continue your journey by sharing the first sub-region in Africa south of the Sahara, which is Central Africa. I hope all of you enjoy the view of Bauli Waterfalls, which is located in the Central African Republic. This is the map of Central Africa, and the orange color highlighted in the map is the country included in the sub-region. Okay everyone, there are 9 countries in the Central Africa that you should know, which is Chad, Democratic Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Central African Republic, Gabon, Burundi, Cameroon, Republic of Congo, and Rwanda. Now, let's move on to the economic activities in Central Africa. There are 3 major economic activities in this region, which is mining, manufacturing, and agriculture. The first economic activities in Central Africa is mining industry. Societe Nationale des Hydrocarbons or National Hydrocarbons Corporation, or for short, SNH, is one of the companies that involved in the mining industry. It is located in Yaoundé, Cameroon, and the main product of this company is oil and gas. The additional information for this company is it is founded in 1980 and it is a public capital company endowed with financial autonomy. The company also promotes, develops, and monitors oil and gas activities throughout the country. They also works in association with international oil companies, ensuring in particular compliance with all regulatory tax as well as control of operating and production costs. On the right side, you can see the logo of the company. The second economic activities in Central Africa is manufacturing industry. The company that involved in this manufacturing industry is Cotton Chad. It is located in N'Djamena, Chad. The product is cotton. The additional information of this company is it is founded in 1971 and it is the only producer and seller of Chadian cotton and its byproduct. As you can see on the right side, it is the logo of the cotton chad and the main product, which is cotton. The third economic activities in Central Africa is agriculture industry. Feronia Incorporated is one of the company that involved in the agriculture industry. Feronia Incorporated located in Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of the Congo. The company main product is oil palm. Additional information to this company is it is founded in 1911 and consists of 3 oil plantations. On the right side, you can see the logo of Feronia Incorporated and the company main product, which is oil palm.
Okay, next is 5.2, which is Western Africa. The external orientation and environmental setting of Western Africa are a contrast to Central Africa. Its long coastline make Western Africa physically more open to the world than Central Africa, and this was the first part of Africa to receive European maritime context. The natural environment varied from the equatorial all-year raining climate of the south-facing coast to the margin of the Sahara in the north. A belt of tropical rainforest along the south-facing coast merged northward through savanna grassland, where seasonal rain support frequent tree to dry savanna with little rain and semi-desert. Human group responded differently to this natural zone. This pre-colonial African empire occupied the moister part of the savanna grassland. Colonial country focused activity on coastal part linked to plantation crops in the southern forest and mining whenever they were rich or deposit. As you can see, this is the great most of then it's located at Mali. Okay, this is the map of the Western Africa. Western Africa had population in range from Nigeria. Africa is the largest, which is 158.3 million, to Guinea-Bissau and the Gambia, which has less than 2 million people. Nigeria range across all three natural climate or vegetation zones. The country with a southern coast has stripe of rainforest backed inland by most savanna. Next. This is the list of countries in Western Africa and the flag that they use. For the first one is Burkina Faso, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Guinea, Mauritania, Guinea-Bissau, Nigeria, the Gambia, Senegal, Mali, Togo, Benin, Sierra Leone, and Niger. 5.22 Economic activity in Western Africa divided by three, which is agriculture, manufacturing, service. The newly independent Western Africa country begin with much greater hope of an improving future than those in Central Africa or poorer country in Asia. Western Africa supplies world market with a wide range of products from farm, forest, mine, and ocean water. Although some countries diversified their output, all primary products remain sensitive to the world market and exchange rate. Locality within the country often depend on a single product. Okay, for 522 economic activity, the first one is agriculture. I choose Olam International Company because they are the first company that established in Nigeria, Africa, for the product of cocoa only. And then they expand to cocoa, coffee, cotton, edible nut, and packaged food. Olam first began as a company in West Africa in Nigeria with the export of raw cashew nuts only. Then they expand into the Republic of Benin, Ghana, and Cote d'Ivoire, and subsequently to Burkina Faso, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, and Senegal. Olam is today in 15 countries in West Africa with sourcing, processing, and marketing operation covering a wide range of products. As you can see, this is the Olam production based on country. At Burkina Faso, they produce edible oil, rice, edible nut, and packaged food. In Senegal, they produce dairy, rice, grain, animal feed, and protein. Cote d'Ivoire, coffee, cocoa, edible nut. In Ghana, cashew, grains, biscuits, tomato mix, rice, cocoa. In Nigeria, back then, they only produced cashew nuts, but nowadays, they produce cocoa, sesame grain, animal feed, and protein packaged food. Okay, as you can see, the coffee from this product is the coffee from this company is the famous coffee bean in Africa. Okay, next is manufacturing industry. Name of company is Metal Manufacturing Nigeria. The product is remelt lead ingots, refined or pure lead ingots, copper ingots, and lead alloy. It established in 2008, Metal Manufacturing Nigeria is world-class producer of different type of lead ingot based in Nigeria. We are fast emerging as a leading company in the field of lead metal recycling and exports. We manufacture lead ingot required by a wide range of sector and industry. Our products are known for accuracy, purity, and strength. They also customize metal, and they also offer stainless steel and glass balustrades. They have their own welding service. Okay, next is service industry. I choose OA Travel and Tour because the first type of their service is transportation, of course. So it is head office in Kumasi. Nana Opoku Agiyamang is a renowned businessman and the founder of OA Travel and Tour. As a leading transport company in the country currently, we are committed to provide excellent transport service with very high safety standard and has gained a reputation as the best transport service provided in the sub-region. They are also the best local and global Africa travel specialists and tour company. They also have their own travel agent, their tour operators, safari logs, hotel, car rent, safari outfitter, and more. If you want to get in touch with a reliable travel service provider in any location within the African continent, you can call OA Travel and Tour. OA Travel and Tour also the only travel and tour in Africa that provide 2+1. That means that if you booking for a transportation, it automatically will book a hotel for you. So it's such a good deal because, for example, if you want buy one and free one, like that. But the price they offer is only for the first choose. For example, if you choose transportation and you get hotel. But if you choose hotel, you will get transportation, like that. Okay, this is the famous selected place in OA Travel and Tour. The first one is Kakum National Park. Ghana is a biodiverse place which has some unique species of plant and animal, and certainly one of the most beautiful regions in Ghana. Kakum National Park is a place that one needs to go for visiting the rainforest of Ghana. It stretches over an extensive part of southern Ghana. You can see the buffalo, elephant, and many more. The second one is St. George Castle. St. George Castle. Whenever you are close to an ocean, fishing is one of the main forms of occupation that exists among people. Just like that, Elmina in Ghana is a fishing town which has the historical St. George Castle. It is one of the very few historical places in Ghana that you shouldn't miss from visiting. The castle has whitewashed wall and it was built in 1482 by the Portuguese. The next one is Paga Crocodile Pond. Most of us do not know how much crocodile, as they either scare us or we do not want to meet them. But this sanctuary is meant for hosting the crocodile, and the institutions can see many of them over here. The crocodile residing over here are actually very friendly toward the human that visit them. Tourists can feed the crocodile and get up close and personal with them. This place respect and honor their crocodile and is that again hurting any of them. Next is Shai Hill Resource Reserve, Center of National Culture Art, Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park. If you love beach, you can go to Labadi Beach. Because often called the perfect city beach by tourists and local alike, Labadi is the most popular shoreline in Accra, Ghana. Other than basking under the sun, lazing on the sand, one can enjoy the awesome food and cocktail available at many local here. Since the beach is essentially a property of neighboring hotel, one need to pay a small entrance fee for getting in. If you visiting on the weekend, you surely be able to catch some local entertainment like native drumming, local reggae band, dancing, and music. If you love lake, you can go to Lake Bosom Twi, the only natural lake in Ashanti and Ghana. Lake Bosom Twi was formed when a large meteorite had hit this place for a long time ago. The lake is considered sacred by the Ashanti people who believe that people's spirit come here after death, so that they can say goodbye to the god Twi. Other than being a pilgrimage site, Lake Bosway is a great spot for adventure, almost 90 meters deep. The lake makes for excellent destination for relaxing, hiking, trekking, picnicking, horseback riding, biking, and indulging in water sport. Okay, I think that's all for me. We move on to the next one.
Hello everyone, welcome back with me Amina, your tour guide for Eastern Africa. Please sit back and enjoy the view of the Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. I'd like to ask you remain in your seat until we have come to a complete stop. Right now, I'd like to take a minute to familiarize you with the area and tell a brief regarding the Eastern Africa. Here is the map of Eastern Africa, where we can see the 7 countries that I have circled. And now, this is the least country in Eastern Africa. Firstly, Djibouti, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, Tanzania, and Uganda. There are many languages spoken in this sub-region, such as Swahili, Amharic, Arabic, Somali, Omoro, English, and many more. Next, we move to the economic activities in Eastern Africa. Firstly, agriculture. Secondly, manufacturing. And thirdly is service. The first economic activities in Eastern Africa is agriculture industry. The name of the company is Kenya Nut Company Limited. As we can see from the right side is the logo of Kenya Nut Company Limited. The company is located at Nairobi, Kenya. The products that they have produced are macadamia and cashew nuts, coffee, chocolates, tea and oils. The company operates 7 farms on over 8,000 acres. The products market under 5 brands: Out of Africa, Nutfield, Natsu, Lileswa, and Morandet. And below is the example of products. The second economic activities in Eastern Africa is manufacturing industry. The name of company is Kira Motors Corporation, KMC. And the right side is the logo of Kira Motors Corporations. The company is located in Tinda, Kampala, Uganda. The products that they have produced are Kayola EVS, Kira EV, Kira EV Smack, Kayola Solar Bus, and Kira EVS. The additional information for this company is Kira EV is Africa's first electric vehicle. Kira EV Smack is Africa's first hybrid electric vehicles, and Kayola Solar Bus is the Africa's first solar-powered electric bus. As we can see from the below of the right side is the example of Kayola Solar Bus. The third economic activities in Eastern Africa is service industry. The name of company is Bonfire Adventures and Events Limited.
As we can see from the right side is the logo of Bonfire Adventures and Events Limited. The company is located at Nairobi, Kenya. The company is the tourism agency. Bonfire Adventures operates in Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, Zanzibar, Uganda, Seychelles, Mauritius, Europe, Turkey, Asia, India, Sri Lanka, and Middle East. And below is the Bonfire Adventures results. Now, this is the most tourist attraction place in Kenya. First is Amboseli National Park, Masai Mara National Reserve, Lake Nakuru National Park, Nairobi National Park, and Tsavo East and West National Park. That's all a little bit about Eastern Africa. Thank you for your attention.
Hujambo everyone, you're with me again. So we've come to the end of our journey. This is the last sub-region of Africa south of Sahara, which is Southern Africa. This is one of the view in Zimbabwe, which is Victoria Falls. Southern Africa lies at the southern margin of the tropical climatic environments. Seasonal tropical climates in the northern parts have summer rains that decrease southwestward toward the aridity of Namibia. The Republic of South Africa has mid-latitude climates with winter rains at the Cape of Good Hope and summer rains along its southeastern coast. So this is the map of Southern Africa taken by the Google image. So as you guys can see, Uganda, Kenya, Somalia is not part of the countries in Southern Africa. This is the list countries in Southern Africa. I'll go one by one. The first one we have Angola. Angola using Portuguese as their official languages. Second one is Botswana that using English. The third one, Lesotho, using Sesotho and English. The fourth one is Madagascar, that using French and Malagasy. Malawi using English, Chichwa. Mozambique using Portuguese, Swahili, and local. Namibia using English and local Afrikaans, while South Africa consists of 12 official languages such as Afrikaans, English, Zulu, Xhosa, and others. Swaziland using English and Siswati. Zambia using English, Bemba, Luapula, Nyanja, and others. And the last one, Zimbabwe using English, Shona, and Indibela. So these are the three economic activities in Southern Africa, which are agricultural diversity, services, and mining. We will go one by one. The first economic activities in Southern Africa is agriculture industry. The name of the company is Agri Service. On your right side, that is the logo of Agri Company. It is located at South Africa. The product of the company sale is maize. The additional information is that Agri is one of South Africa's leading agricultural companies, home to Agri Grain Management, which handles and stores not only maize but also wheat, sunflower, soya beans, barley, and sorghum at more than 100 operational points throughout South and Southern Africa, including Congo, Brazzaville, Uganda, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Zambia. On your right side also shown the cornfield in South Africa. We'll go for the next economic activities in Southern Africa, which is mining industry. The name of the company is Marine Namibia, which located in Namibia. The product is diamond. The additional information: diamonds were discovered in Namibia in 1908 when railway worker Zacharias Liwala found a diamond that would change the course of history of Namibia. He handed it to his supervisor, August Touch, and a diamond rush ensued in Kommerskop near Lüderitz, resulting in the mining of millions of carats for colonial Germany until World War I in 1914. It is rumored that those years the diamond deposits were so rich that Starch and other miners could often simply pick up diamonds from the valley floors. The right picture shows the logo of Marine Namibia Company, and the below one is Namibia Desert Sea. The last economic activities in Southern Africa is service industry. The name of company is Botswana Tourism, located in Botswana. The product is tourism. Game viewing is usually at its best during the dry season in winter between May to August, and in the hot springtime months of September and October when the animals are concentrating near rivers, pools, and waterholes. The chances of spotting lions are better just after sunrise than at other times. In summer, most of the game tends to lie up during the heat of the day, so the recommended times to set out on drives are the early mornings and late afternoons. Elephants, though, are wide awake and active in and around the rivers in the hotter hours. So the picture showing the game viewing in Botswana and the logo of Botswana Tourism. Sawubona, we're going to be pulling up to the hotel in just a few minutes. Please sit back and enjoy your last and only game view before we enter the city. Please double check to make sure all of your belongings have been taken off the bus. On behalf of Region 7 Tour Agency, I wish you have a wonderful time in Africa south of the Sahara. Kiabonga and Kwaheri!